Mindfulness in the West originates primarily from the Buddhist practice of meditation. Buddhism originated in India till 200 BCE. Contemplative practices can be found in many religions. Hinduism has dhyana and other practices. Islam has Sufism. Christianity has Christian mysticism. Judaism has Kabbalah, Taoism, etc. It's important to note Buddhism has been in America for centuries, particularly among the Asian immigrants who came to the West to help build the railroads. But it wasn't until the 50s and 60s when Zen Buddhism started to become popular among Americans. Japanese Zen monks were traveling to the West Coast to give lectures, and many Americans started to get interested in Buddhism and meditation. Some big names you might be familiar with. Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh was an activist, an author, a poet, and one of the greatest spiritual teachers, leaders of our age. His Holiness Dalai Lama is another prominent spiritual leader, who's known for his work around compassion, forgiveness and love. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989. John Kabat-Zinn, who has a PhD in molecular biology from MIT. He spent a number of years getting trained in both Zen and Theravada meditation. In 1979 he founded a stress reduction clinic at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. As there were no effective treatments for chronic pain at the time, he decided to apply Buddhist meditation techniques along with gentle movement to help patients cope with their pain. Mindfulness-based stress reduction therapy, at the University of Massachusetts, MBSR, is completely secular, without any religious or cultural contexts. So, is mindfulness a religious practice? Depends on the person you ask and what journey you are on. But it most definitely doesn't have to be. 5. MBSR led to development of other mindfulness-based therapy programs, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy. The primary aim is not a set of beliefs but the engagement with practices that enhance well-being. Mindfulness is a way to feel good, feel positive, and feel happy. It's about controlling our feelings, and that is not the case. Mindfulness is to allow the natural flow of our life. In a full life, we're going to feel a full range of emotions from pleasant to unpleasant. Mindfulness is the ability to observe, manage, and accept life as it happens. And to do all of that, one must be present to here and now. Building the inner capacity so we can be with a wider range of emotions. Mindfulness teacher, Sylvia Boorstein says, "May I meet this moment with kindness. May I meet it as a friend. We are much more than our emotions." It's about controlling our thoughts, getting rid of thoughts altogether or the negative thoughts or constantly thinking positive thoughts. That is not the case. Mindfulness is about being aware of our thoughts, watching them and wisely choosing which thoughts we're going to allow to guide our actions and which ones we're going to let go of because they're just not productive for us. Mindfulness gives us the power to wisely choose which thought to interact with. Eventually, with a lot of practice, one can train the mind to abandon negative thoughts and generate positive thoughts. Loving kindness meditation. We can't control our emotions, our thoughts, but we can learn to navigate them. Be aware of them so they don't rule us. Just like you go to the gym to build your physical strength, you can practice mindfulness to train your brain to navigate what's life bringing you. When you're mindful, you're relaxed. That's not the case. Sometimes a mindfulness practice can put you in a relaxed state and sometimes it doesn't. It's about finding ease in all kinds of situations. It's about how to stay present in all kinds of different situations. You can be mindful in all kinds of different situations: high stress, highly challenging, highly emotional. Mindfulness teaches you how to stay present in all kinds of situations because life is such. We don't just have happy moments. And being mindful does not mean you'll always be happy. It means you'll be able to manage whatever life brings you with attentiveness and openness. Many ways to develop mindfulness skills. Let's practice. You will notice the sense of touch. You will notice that each finger is of different length, so inhales and exhales will vary. Also, this hand is also a good representation of our life, lots of ups and downs, and can we find ease as we move along the fingers. What are we paying attention to? Inner and outer world. Anything in our experience, anything that comes through our senses: vision, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. For instance, noticing our feet on the floor, our hands resting on our thighs. Things that happen in our inner world with our thoughts and emotions. Paying attention to the mechanics of how this inner world operates. We tend to color our reality with our biases, our perceptions, our experiences. Mindfulness is a form of attention or awareness training that can be applied in any activity throughout the day: seeing, hearing, walking, eating, playing, homework, etc. Its purpose is to increase self-awareness, emotional balance, impulse control, and overall focus. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change its structure and function in response to experience. This means that our brains are not static. They are constantly changing as we learn new things and encounter new situations. If we repeat things over and over again, then new wirings and pathways can be established. Just like you go to the gym to work on your physical body to build muscles and stamina. If we practice mindfulness consciously on a daily basis, we'll be establishing and deepening intentional ways of living. Neuroplasticity. The brain has the ability to form and/or reorganize synaptic connections, especially in response to learning. That means it can change over time. https://premierneurologycenter.com/blog/ What is neuroplasticity? The amygdala is our fear center, and is responsible for detecting threats and activating fear-related behaviors. You may have heard of amygdala hijack. When amygdala gets activated, stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline are released to prepare your body for stress response. Rapid heartbeat, sweaty palms, goosebumps. Amygdala hijack. Situation: amygdala activation, flight, fight, freeze, invoked, bypass, rational brain. REACTION. Can you think of a situation where you fly off the handle? After amygdala hijack, you may feel regret or embarrassment because your behavior may have been inappropriate or irrational. Why do we want to pay attention to these things? Did you ever have the experience of your emotions making you feel like you're out of control, and the experience of saying or doing something you immediately wish you could take it back? Mindful pause. Mindfulness offers a present moment awareness and nervous system regulation to discern whether or not we want to say or do that. It gives us the opportunity to intentionally respond instead of reacting. This moment becomes very empowering for youth and adults. The ability to recognize the moment of impulse, not repression of the impulse. Mindfulness is the moment of recognition. In that moment of recognition, it often offers us enough space to give a little bit more thought or reflection about whether we want to act on that impulse. It's putting the ownership back on the individual. It's a foundational level of choice. 3 deep breaths exercise. Count to 10. Peter A. Levine is a renowned psychologist who's done tremendous work in the field of trauma. He is also responsible for bringing somatic experience to the therapy world. Brings recognition to the wiseness of the body, how our body responds to threat and how it can perpetuate threat and danger even when there is no real threat. There is a technique he uses to soothe the gut and consequently soothe the mind. The largest nerve in the body goes from the back of the brain and goes through the lungs, heart, diaphragm and connects the gut. 80% of this nerve's work is sensory. It's taking information from the gut and sending it to the brain. If our guts are twisted, we're going to feel anguish or some kind of disturbance up in the head. Our gut is also called our second brain. There are receptors in the gut that are signaling from our gut to the brain about what's happening. If we live in a disassociated state where we don't have the capacity to read our body, we'll miss out on this tight connection between the body and the mind. This is where somatic work comes in. Talks about breathing. Something difficult happens to us and we store that experience in our body and relive it involuntarily, and if we're not paying attention to it, it can create long-term damage. Trauma is not just psychological, it's very somatic, registered in our body, and we can shift that. Witness a difficult situation, you may feel a knot in your guts. Later on, anytime you think about that situation, your guts will automatically twist up. If these images or thoughts become chronic, your body is telling your brain there's threat, there's danger, and you need to be a high alert. Now nothing really is happening in that moment, but your nervous system goes on high alert or your emotions go on high alert. Dog, brain. Your emotions, thoughts taking you for a ride all over the place. Brain and body in sync. In mindfulness, our mind is often compared to the puppy. Puppy will run after any new shiny thing. Mindfulness is about learning to be and manage your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, instead of them controlling you. It is about putting your mind where you want it to be. Practice, practice, practice. Need to develop a habit.